home lies the ultimate test of a driver's courage. Hi, and thanks for joining us for Race 3 of the Missed Apex Formula 3 Challenge as we venture to the notorious Nurburgring, set amongst some of the most revered grounds in all of motorsport. The drivers will face horrifying hairpins, tire-shredding traction zones, and a treacherous chicane that will put them in the wall if they are less than perfect. To get us underway today, please give a warm welcome to your commentators, Chris Stevens and Chris Catman Turner.
After a hiatus of almost 3 months, the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup returns as we hit the halfway mark of the season at round 3, coming to you from the Nurburgring. We've raced here many times before, but this time we've switched things up, changing the chicane at the end of the back straight. More on that later. First of all, welcome to the Missed Apex Motorsport YouTube channel live stream. I am Chris Stevens. I'll be your lead commentator for this evening. Joining me, as always, it's Chris Catman Turner. Chris, it feels so good to be back, doesn't it?
It does. It hasn't been long since we were in the booth. Even though we've been 3 months away with the F3 Cup, we had that wonderful endurance race at Silverstone. It was a fantastic event. My voice is just about recovered.
Yeah, but it has been an interesting break over the Christmas period. We will talk more about the Silverstone endurance race that we did, actually. First of all, a quick look trackside as the final few minutes of free practice are taking place. If you're new to the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup, we have a practice session here. Then we'll go into a 10-minute open qualifying, followed by 3 races, a feature race, which will be 12 laps long. That will be set by qualifying, that grid. And then we have 2 top 20 reverse grid races, which will be 10 laps long today. But Chris, we have been away for a long time, not for lack of doing other things. We obviously had the Christmas period, which was a lovely welcome break for everyone after a very hard fought year down at Missed Apex. But then we came back in style in January with the Silverstone 12 Hours, raising £5,000 for Macmillan Cancer Support.
It was absolutely phenomenal, and what an event it was. It was such close racing all the way through. We get close racing in these F3 Cups, but they're only 20-minute sprints. But still 12 hours in to have cars separated by just a second was just phenomenal. Loved every second.
It was brilliant, and of course a lot of the drivers from this championship took part in that as well. We saw teams united instead of fighting each other for once, as they do here. And I think we've even ended up with a few new drivers in this championship as a result of the Enduro. So we'll talk about a few of the new drivers a little bit later on, certainly as the day progresses. But we do have another endurance race coming up as well. Bradley Philpott hosting the M4M Nurburgring 12 Hours in just 2 weeks' time, actually. And that will be on the Sim Broadcasts YouTube channel, and I'll be doing commentary for that. So do please come and join us for that one as well. Follow Brad Philpott on social media for updates on that.
Yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal event. I think they're nuts going racing around the Nürburgring. It's the Nordschleife, obviously, not just the Nürburgring that we're GP circuit that we're on today. How are you going to remember all the corner names, Chris?
Well, after today, I needed to get this one not out of the way, but get this done first, and then the next 2 weeks it's going to be very intensive learning 60 cars as well. The 60 different entrants, and the drivers in there, that range from 3 to 5 drivers per team. And then, of course, 170 odd corners to have to learn as well. I've got some of the names, remember, but I might have to revisit Brad's YouTube series, How to Learn the Nordschleife in Under an Hour.
It's going to be an awesome event, and I'm looking forward to that. But first of all, we do have this great race around the Little Nürburgring. And who's looking quick today, Chris?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned, because we have had a few different names pop up. Luca Harrison has been very, very fast lately. Now, we have criticised him in the past for not being the most consistent driver. Of course, we all remember the first race at Interlagos of this season, where he was on pole position and spun on the opening lap. But since then, he has been on a bit of a streak, really, scoring really, really well. Currently sits fourth, in the championship standings, and is looking very quick at the moment. Currently fastest in this session on a 46.0, just half a tenth of a second ahead of Danny Henney, the reigning champion and championship leader. We're looking at Alex Jonesma at the minute as well, who is also very quick around here, and was the last time he raced here as well.
Yes, I think some of that endurance racing has done some of these guys the world of good, particularly on their consistency. These guys are able to pump in the laps, within hundredths of each other over and over again. It's a fantastic thing to see. And yeah, Drillsma, obviously the organiser of the last event, he is really up there today, in third place currently in this practice session.
Absolutely. Now, this track we are coming to once again, and it is Danny Henney leading the standings at the moment on 236 points going into this one. We'll talk a little bit about his season so far in a minute, but leads by just 19 points to Brian Boomsma, who actually we don't think is going to be racing today. He hasn't joined the practice session so far, and of course we're going racing in just a few minutes. So we understand he will not be racing tonight. That will, of course, count as his drop score, but that puts him under pressure for the rest of the rounds. And we've got Stephen Williams in third place, just 22 points back. He's been super consistent. Hasn't actually been on the podium yet, I believe, this season. Oh, he's had one podium finish, excuse me. But really consistent, and that's put him ahead of the likes of Harrison and Jonesma and Power, who are just behind them in the championship.
That's it. And having a look at some of the panelists as well, we've got Spanners Ready in P13 in this session. He is doing remarkably well in 8th in the championship. So he's obviously the second of our panelists behind Carl Power. Alex Van Gien, again, another guy, unfortunately, who can't be here this evening. He's doing well in the championship. He's in 13th place, about 30 points behind. So yeah, it's hotting up in the championship. Are we halfway through the season now at the end of this race, Chris?
Will we? Yep, this will be the halfway mark when we finish up tonight. Of course, we have different driver classes in this championship as well. We have the Platinum, which is the overall, Gold and Silver drivers as well. Worth mentioning that Brian Boomsma may be second in the championship, but he is a Gold driver and leading the Gold standings by quite some margin over Spanners at the moment. He's in 8th overall. And then the Silver battle, very, very interesting indeed. We have Chris Foskett leading Thomas van Kroonenberg by just 1 point in the Silver standings, but Van Kroonenberg will not be racing tonight, so that will count as his drop score round. Worth mentioning as well, again, if you're new to the series, there are 6 rounds in this championship, and your points from 5 of those count towards the championship. You get 1 drop score. The only point to that is that you cannot take the drop score at the final round. Your final round will count, but any rounds 1 to 5, you can drop any of those. Let's talk a little bit about this track then. So, Chris, we mentioned that we are back at the Nurburgring, but with a bit of a twist this time.
Yes, this year we've decided to go for the slightly more open Vidal chicane. So it's going to alter the overtaking opportunities quite significantly this evening. There's a bit of debate as to whether that was the right move. I know in the commentary box there's even a split, but I think it's certainly going to provide some entertainment. It's been very, very fun to watch during the practice sessions and during the practice races.
Indeed, we have seen a lot of people really bolting through there with quite a lot of speed, and I think it's added a certain element of potential chaos to each of these races, because even the top guys have been caught out by that chicane and subsequently the final corner as well. But if you are, for whatever reason, unfamiliar with the Nurburgring, we have a handy-dandy hot lap with Richard Molden from last season.
Willkommen auf Deutschland, and here is a lap of the wonderful Nurburgring Grand Prix Strecke. Coming down the main straight, down into turn 1 in 6th gear, hard on the brakes, all the way down to first, chuck it at the apex which falls away from you, with warm tyres nice and early on the throttle out, and into the 3rd gear left-hander, really slippery, really easy to spin in even if your tyres are warm. Braking into second gear for the left-hander, deliberately not using all the track as there's more grip here. Very easy on the throttle as you rotate the car into the right-hander of turn 4. Very, very easy to lose the back end. You're going to see that happening in the race. Now, as we come up to the left-hander, dab on the brakes, down to fourth gear for the Valvoline curve, and then swiftly down to second, again keeping a tighter line as there's not enough time to get all the way across, and that's where the grip is. We can take a pause as we run down to the Dunlop hairpin. As we get there, we're going to be tight into the apex, but wanting to be really patient, not getting on the throttle too early, otherwise you're going to run wide, but the moment you're straight, full steam ahead to get as much acceleration out as you possibly can. Now we go through the Schumacher S's, absolutely flat out as we go through the gears. Even on lap 1, the car's going to be absolutely planted here, and we're coming up to the Michelin curve left-hander. A short, sharp brake down to fourth, hook up the curb on the inside. It's really easy to go in too hot and run wide, don't do that. Easing off the throttle, down to third, just enough to get the car to turn, then straight back onto the throttle. Now a brief break from the action while you size up whether there's an overtake opportunity or whether you're being sized up for one into the chicane. As we get to the chicane, we want to take as straight a line as possible. It's really easy to come in too hot and lose half a second, or even worse, run over one of those raised curves and get launched. The moment you're pointing in the right direction, mash the throttle for the short run down to the Coca-Cola curb, into third, take the apex, making sure you're using all of the exit to maximise your speed down the straight. And there we go, over the line, 150.6, solid midfield pace. That should get us maybe top 10, top 15.
The eagle-eyed among you
Far from the comforts of civilization, where legends used to roam, lies the ultimate test of a driver's courage. Hi, and thanks for joining us for Race 3 of the Missed Apex Formula 3 Challenge as we venture to the notorious Nurburgring, set amongst some of the most revered grounds in all of motorsport. The drivers will face horrifying hairpins, tire-shredding traction zones, and a treacherous chicane that will put them in the wall if they are less than perfect. To get us underway today, please give a warm welcome to your commentators, Chris Stevens and Chris Catman Turner.
Apologies for the opener running there. Uncle Steve sends his apologies as well. We're not going to hold it against him. He does a fantastic job putting on these live streams, and we're forever grateful to him. So the keen-eyed among you will have noticed there was the old chicane in that hot lap. So it will be the quicker VDOL chicane that we use today. And as I say, there's a real potential jeopardy in there with that chicane. So much faster and not a lot of space on the exit if you get it wrong.
That's right, and the curbs are pretty savage around there, Chris. They're really high, particularly that exit curb. They're really monstering them as well, which I'm quite surprised by, because although it's where you have to make the time up, it's very treacherous, and particularly in the races, I think we could see a few people spat out onto the grass around there.
Just take a moment to talk about Gregor Gomes here, who you're seeing in the pink and white livery, newcomer to the series, currently 4th in the standings in free practice, has really just kind of come in and made a name for himself pretty quickly by competing with the top guys in this championship. We're very much looking forward to seeing how he gets on throughout the night. Of course, has missed the first 2 rounds of championship. And Chris, you know, Suzuka was a long time ago. It was back in November. I think we should refresh some people's memories, particularly of the race 2 drama that we saw, the epic battles that we saw with Alex Van Gien taking the win and Spanners taking a maiden podium with that epic final corner move.
It was absolutely phenomenal, and Spanners really getting his elbows out. That was such a good move. It's a wonderful circuit, Suzuka, with just as interesting overtaking opportunities as we have here. Although, as we said though, Chris, that move came at the final chicane at Suzuka, and you might lose that out here because they only have to click down 1 gear to go through the chicane. As you said though, you know, that maybe opens it up into the final corner.
Yeah, and we're not short on overtaking opportunities throughout the rest of the lap as well. Of course, we have the Mercedes-Benz Arena, where you tend to see quite a lot of side-by-sides. turn 6 and 7 as well, the Dunlop hairpin. I think we'll still see plenty of good racing throughout the night.
Oh, absolutely. And if you can rely on anyone to put on a good show, it's this bunch of missed apexes.
Yep, absolutely. Worth mentioning that Henny won the feature race in Suzuka, but we have had 5 different winners from the 6 races so far, with Van Gien taking the reverse grid 1 win in Suzuka, and then Brian Boomsma fighting back with the reverse grid 2 win. But Danny had a bit of a mare at Suzuka after the feature race win, where he made contact at the start of sprint race 2 and lost out on a potential podium with a late contact in race 3 as well, which is probably why he's only 19 points clear in the championship at the minute.
That's true, and you're talking about drop scores, so that could prove crucial. That could be his drop round. But every time you have a slightly off weekend, it puts a real load of pressure on the rest of the season to make sure that you just connect every single event. Because don't forget, we do have 3 races in each evening sessions, and some of those are reverse grid races. So there's a lot of jeopardy, particularly around some of the tighter circuits. So you'll be looking to maximise every one, and having a poor weekend like Danny did at Suzuka, he could regret that at the end of the season.
Well, look at it this way: of the 18 races we'll end up doing across the 6 rounds of the season, only 6 of them you're going to be starting from where you qualified. So you have to be able to navigate the pack in the sprint races.
You do, and speaking of a sprinter, we have spanners ready in the commentary booth in the unlucky 13th position in this practice session. How are you feeling for this evening?
It's good, it's interesting. I had to set all the sessions up today because our normal person, Sam Watley, is on a skiing holiday. So it's quite interesting playing with how the sim deals with track conditions and weather conditions. So for a practice session, I set it to be quite green at the beginning, and it's interesting to watch as the track evolves. It sort of peaks at around 65% track usage, and then you start getting marbles on track, and offline starts to become tricky. So you won't see that over the course of a 12-lap sprint race, but it's definitely interesting as the coordinator to sort of decide. I'm like the god of grip. I can decide how much grip there is.
So have you gone for a high grip simulation this time, or is it a bit icy out there today?
So what I've warned everyone is to expect some variation. It won't be massive, but generally I think qualifying might be a little bit slippy for people, and then in the race it's going to be nice and gripped up, with marbles coming into play maybe the last 3 or 4 laps.
So speaking of qualifying, spanners, we're interested to know about the tyre warm-up in the qualifying simulation. So how long does it take to get them at their peak?
So it's quite frustrating in the qualifying. If you make a mistake mid-qualifying, you're all but done, because maybe you get 5 laps, maybe you get 6, but the first 3 laps, maybe the 3rd lap is your banker that can put you somewhere, 5-10 places short of where you want to be. But it's really that 4, 5, 6, those laps. So if you have a little spin, a little incident, or damage your wing on lap 4, you just sit in the pits and feel sad.
That's it, and it is very, very close. So a tiny margin will cost you a lot of places.
Qualifying is going to be vital here. So, for example, I feel like I've got reasonable pace, but my qualifying is always poor. Generally, just something about the pressure of the qualifying session. I probably usually end up 5-10 places off where I'm meant to be. And here, you can not only defend hard, but if someone sacrifices to get past you, you're very likely to get a run back on them. So it can be very frustrating for maybe a top midfield driver like me to try and make my way through the midfield. It is very difficult, and I sort of lack the skill around a track this tight to make any real progress. I could well get stuck in 30th when I've got top 15 pace.
That's the trouble with such a tight and impressive field.
Yeah, you have to be good at racing, Chris, and I'm not. I'm good at, I'm competent enough at turning the wheel and getting laps in, but the art of racing is such a fine one, and it's such a dark art, and there's so many actually genuinely brilliant racers in this pack.
Oh, we'll see. I think you'll do better than you're saying. But just thinking, lastly, on the circuit, we obviously had a bit of a change for this year. We were just discussing the merits of that final chicane. It looks a bit treacherous out there.
Okay, so really interesting. First session there, it's you brake past the 50, drop down 1 gear, and then if you can keep it planted through there with the perfect line, that's ideal. I'm about to go through it now if Steve's watching actually. Down 1 gear and then really hook it up, and then you turn for the right-hand part of it much earlier than you think. I've got to get going, but you're going to see carnage, I think, on that chicane, Chris.
Good luck for qualifying. Yeah, speaking of carnage, as Spanners was going through, we did just see a few people just come together. Gregor Gomez, who's the new very quick driver, but he did have a massive clattering accident there. So I think we are definitely going to get some drama. We're not usually short of drama, Chris, but I think that may just spice it up even more.
That is certainly true. We are not short of drama, and the drama is about to continue as we head into qualifying. How about that for a segue? So, qualifying about to get underway at the Nurburgring, and it's Andy Flagg who is the first man out of the pits, the bright pink car with the rainbow nose, closely followed there by Alexander Dobbertsberger in the black and white Ace of Spades car, Tim Ellis in blue and yellow behind them, then Alex Johnsma and Luke Harrison in the familiar Bumblebee car, Danny Henney in a bit of a pack there as the championship leader, but we're going to keep an eye on the front of the pack at the minute as Flagg leads Dobbertsberger around this outlap. Now, worth mentioning, Chris, Danny was telling us about some changes to the iRacing tyre model, which is going to have a crucial impact on how this qualifying session plays out, because it takes even longer now for the tyres to get to their optimal grip. We used to see the peak grip come right at the end of qualifying. Now, it sounds like the car is going to be at suboptimal performance throughout this entire 10-minute session.
Yeah, and that'll make it very tricky, because knowing how hard to push, as Spanners was saying, you've got to be there at the end of the session with your tyres in the right window to be able to get that lap time, because we're looking at differences of less than a tenth of a second covering a number of places. So if you're not in the right place at the right time with your tyres in the right window with a bit of gap, possibly a little bit of a toe, you're not going to get exactly where you need to be, and that could cost you places.
And it could have a crucial impact as well if you take a little bit too much curb. Of course, the pressures at the start of qualifying are going to be very, very low until you build them up. That lowers the ride height, and it means you can't take as much curb. And if you attack too hard too soon, then you're going to find yourself in trouble. As Andy Flagg comes across the line now and starts the first flying lap of qualifying, and I believe he's going to encounter some traffic early on, as he's got a car that's just come out of the pits not too far in front of him. Hopefully that doesn't impede him all too badly. But around this Mercedes-Benz arena they go. A very technical section on this track, and you see just the understeer bleeding through there as he heads through turns 3 and 4. Dobbertsberger behind did not have the same issue by the looks of it.
And if anything, Dobbertsberger might be a little bit close to the back of him. He's got to be careful not to generate a load of understeer through those sections. As you said, he seemed to be okay this time though, Chris, as the back marker you were talking about graciously jumped out of the way.
Yeah, well, so far, Andy Flagg and Danny Henney, the only drivers to get sub 34 seconds in the first sector. So it's promising pace from Flagg at the moment. Gregor Gomes actually did a 33.9 as well, so we'll see how the rest of the lap unfolds as well. By the looks of it, the top guys are very evenly matched in the middle sector. 37.5 for Flagg as he cuts the timing beam. And here we go into the Vidon chicane for the first time on a flying lap. Safely navigated, a bit wide at that final corner though, but of course this is not when the best times are going to be coming in, so as long as you just keep it on track and keep it pointed in the right direction. And Flagg goes over the line with a 48.0, and we were seeing times in the high 46s earlier on. And Henny slower than Flag, actually, at the end of his first flying lap, 48.1. Just 7 thousandths of a second separating them. Luca Harrison goes into third place, a tenth of a second back then Dobbsberger and Power. So this is going to be an unfolding session, I think, Chris. We're going to slowly see the pace start to ramp up. And we're
running on board Sam Swallow. Sorry, Chris. Yeah, he just put it in P4.
Another, I think, newcomer. Although, oh no! He had traffic there and slammed on the anchors to try and avoid it. And this is exactly the kind of error that you don't need in qualifying. He's been able to keep it running though, and will continue on. So it's not going to cost him too badly. But of course, we're already, coming up to the halfway point in this qualifying session.
We are, and how much is that going to cook those tyres? Obviously, scrubbing sideways across the circuit, you generate heat very, very quickly. I know they don't simulate flat spots just yet, but looking at that, that's going to generate a lot of heat in those tyres. He's going to be struggling, I think, through some of the faster corners.
Well, that was the other thing about the new tyre model, which is that sliding really overheats the tyres now. It can be very easy to do. And so, especially in that first sector where you're kind of sliding around quite a lot with the low speed, you've got to be really careful not to cook through the tyres. So I think we're going to start to see overheating tyres becoming much more of an issue. And having to balance that across the session is going to be really, really important as the second series of lap times starting to come through now. And I don't think Flag improved on that. It looked like an invalid lap time, as it was for Danny Henny as well. And I think we just caught him running off the track around turns 11 and 12, just before the back straight. It didn't look like the most ideal sector. It's now Alex Dronsma who is on provisional pole position at the moment on a 47.288, 300ths of a second ahead of Luca Harrison, and then Gregor Gomes in third place. We said he was quick, said to watch out for him. He's proving that at the moment.
We haven't. We got Kyle Power from the panel jumped up to P4 with a 1:47.7. That's a good lap time. But crucially this time round, Luca Harrison made a mistake coming out of the first corner, so he's aborted this lap. He's just wiggling around and warming up his tyres a little bit, seeing if he can get some of the dust off, because he did go off track. So we won't see an improvement from him this time round.
Now, a reminder, the man second in the championship, Brian Boomsma, not here today, and it is Stephen Williams, who is Danny Henny's closest rival in this race, who currently has not set a lap time, actually, which is a little worrying, as we're only 3 minutes remaining in the session. So he needs to get a time in quite sharpish, really, if he's going to have any hope of scoring some decent points today.
And we mentioned Alex Van Gien from the panel. He actually has turned up tonight, so he's making an appearance. He is just about to set a lap time, so it's great to see him back on track. We'll see if he can get up there in the battle for the top panelist honours tonight.
Well, that's great to see indeed, as we're on board with Dobbsberger there as he went third fastest, although has been demoted quite sharpish there. Stephen Williams did get a good lap in there. He's gone fifth fastest. Power now up to third. Dronsma lowering the benchmark once again, 47 flat now. Less than a tenth of a second ahead of Danny Henny, who's gone up to second place. Carl Power now in third. Luca Harrison and Stephen Williams is the provisional top five at the moment. Gregor Gomes now demoted to ninth place. And as you mentioned, Chris, Luca Harrison not getting the lap in last time around. It was a 50 flat, and Gregor Gomes' last lap didn't count either. We're less than 2 minutes to go in the session.
Yeah, 2 minutes to go, so there'll be this one and one more to go. So they've really got to make these last two count, Chris. Any mistakes at this point will be costly.
Absolutely. Henny once again in the fight for pole position. He is 1 for 2 so far this season. We've had two different pole sitters between Luca Harrison in Interlagos and Danny Henny at Suzuka. And so far, Alex Dronsma is in contention to make it 3 different pole sitters, with the provisional pole time at the moment of a 47 flat.
He is, and he's got a couple of cars just ahead of him. They might be giving him just a sweet little tow as he comes into the Vidal chicane, clatters those curbs, stays well clear of the outside one, which is a little bit treacherous, tucks it in nicely, hooks up the inside curb and comes around to complete the lap. What sort of time is he going to set this time around?
Well, he did improve. My timing screen took a little longer to update there than normal, so he's lowered the benchmark again, but Henny has lowered it even further. Just 14 thousandths of a second between them as Henny sets a 46.756. Johnsma second on a 46.770. Gregor Gomes is only another 39 thousandths of a second further back on a 46.8. There is just half a tenth of a second separating the top three in this qualifying session at the moment, Chris. We're coming up now to the final laps.
This is too close to call, and I'm really hopeful that Drillsma can hook it up and see if he can get that pole position to make it 3 for 3.
And Henny has got traffic. Henny is in traffic in this, and I think it's Alex Van Gien actually. So not a welcome moment there for Henny. He's getting the tow at the minute, but he's going to have to pass Van Gien on this lap, and he can't into the chicane. This lap is done. So Henny will not improve on that 46.7. All eyes on Alex Johnsma then to see if he can claim pole position at the Nurburgring. And he has got Tim Ellis in front of him, but not as far. I think he might be in the sweet spot there for the tow and not too much dirty air there, actually.
He has timed it perfectly, and he's been very, very clean through this lap, hooking up every single apex. Coming down the last back straight now. He's going to come into that Vidal chicane. He's got to get this right, Chris.
This is a pressure moment, and the jeopardy of this chicane could well strike. It's another beautiful set of corners, though, from Alex Johnsma. He has been on rails so far. This session comes out across the line. This is the final opportunity for Johnsma. And what is the time? It's a 46.717. He takes provisional pole position, but Luca Harrison snatches it from him by just 5 thousandths of a second. 46.712 by Luca Harrison. And he is on provisional pole position. Is there anyone else who could take it away from him? Gregor Gomes, he's come across the line. He didn't improve on his lap either. Tim Ellis has set another personal best, but he only goes 5th fastest. Kyle Power couldn't improve on that last lap as well, and it looks like Luca Harrison has claimed his second pole position of the season.
What a phenomenal finish to that qualifying session. It's so close out there, and what were we saying, Chris? Little mistakes, you have to be in the right place at the right time, and Alex Van Gien certainly wasn't for Danny Henny there. That's cost him pole position.
That is astonishing. Less than a tenth of a second covers the top 4 in this session. We have a mouth-watering prospect in for this feature race here, Chris.
Absolutely, it is too close to call. Are we going to get one of the established regulars taking that win, or are we going to get a brand new guy taking the top spot? I am absolutely at fever pitch waiting to find out.
Well, we have had 5 different winners so far this season, and I would not be at all surprised to have a 6th by the end of the night, maybe even a 7th. So the grid is forming then for the feature race, round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup, and it will be Luca Harrison on pole position in the familiar Bumblebee colours, black and yellow in the 333 car. Alongside him, Alex Johnsma in the black and gold car, number 56. Danny Henny, bright red, and the familiar number 93 in honour of Marc Marquez. He is 3rd on the grid, the championship leader with a little bit of work to do from the second row of the grid. Gregor Gomes on his series debut in pink and white. He starts 4th on the grid. Tim Ellis in the blue and yellow number 14 car. He starts from 5th. Then it is Kyle Power in the Venom Works lime green car starting from 6th. Andy Flagg in 7th there with the pink car with the rainbow nose. Alexander Doppelsberger, the black and white Ace of Spades guy, starts from 8th. Then it's Stephen Williams, the man 3rd in the championship going into this race. He starts 9th. And then Mark Greenhow in the number 22 car. He starts 10th on the grid. Then Richard Spanner's ready, starts in 11th place, just missing out on the top 10 there. Colin Ward in 12th. Then David Hatton, the inaugural Formula Renault Challenge champion. He starts 13th ahead of Alex McBride. Richard Molden, one of the admins for this series, starts 15th ahead of Sam Swallow. Lucas Raskovitz, Colton Myers, Barry Kemp, and Dan Fisher, another debutant. He starts 20th. And remember, the top 20 will be reversed at the end of this race to set the grid for race 2. So it is 12 laps that await. And the red lights are on. We're about to get underway for round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup at the Nurburgring. Harrison versus Dronsma at the front row of the grid, and away they go. And Harrison has got a decent start there, and Henny has got a better one. He's already alongside Dronsma. Is going to be challenging him down towards turn 1, but it's going to be 3 wide almost down towards turn 1. Then Henny makes contact with Dronsma. They're getting swallowed up by the pack. Harrison goes through safely into the lead. Gregor Gomes is up into 2nd place. Power goes through into 3rd as well. Dronsma and Henny have fallen down to 4th and 5th. Ahead of Tim Ellis and then Mark Greenhow as well. And a spin for Dronsma down at turn 3. That is a disaster for him. He was in a prime position to take decent points. And now it's not going to happen as Gregor Gomes is now challenging for the lead down towards turn 5. Harrison is able to hold him off. The top 3 look like they've got a bit of a gap over the rest of the field already, Chris.
They do. And as Dronsma spun out, he made that little gap there for them. Gomes looking very, very racy on this first lap. He's got to try and get it done before Harrison gets into his groove, because we all know how good he is at defending. But he does have to watch out from Kyle Powell behind that absolutely luminous green car. That will be looming very large in his nose.
Now I wonder if Danny Henny picked up a little bit of damage on the front wing there from that contact with Dronsma. It certainly looked like a brave moment to be going 3 wide down into turn 1 there. We have got Brad Philpott in race control actually, and I'm sure he will be looking at that. But as the leaders round turn 12 for the first time, and we've got the first big slipstream opportunity. Gomes just looked a little wide there. That could be an opportunity for Power. It is indeed, as they're side by side coming down the straight. Now Power will have the outside line for the Vidal chicane, but Gomes sensibly backs out of it and lives to fight for another day. Power up to 2nd place at the end of lap 1.
Absolutely, and crucially he managed to get it done before the chicane, because as you say, going side by side through there is very, very tricky. Gomes making use of all of that exit curb to try and get a run back at Power. You can see Henny behind having a little weave. He's nowhere near these guys.
Trying to warm up the tyres there.
He is. Kyle had to go slightly defensive because he was having a run at him. See if he can do a little switch back here. Not close enough this time around.
Yeah, Gomes has got a nice line through turn 2 there, and it's more lining up for turn 3, but not quite close enough to challenge in the Mercedes-Benz arena on lap 2. And Harrison has a small advantage up at the front, just 3/4 of a second at the moment. And I'll tell you what, it won't be long before Danny Henny storms into the scene as well. Behind them for 6th place, we've got Mark Greenhow and Andy Flagg going side by side into the turns 5 and 6 complex, and Mark Greenhow getting the better of Flagg there. And here comes Stephen Williams as well. Gomes having a little look there into the Dunlop chicane on Kyle Power. Was that a lock up there from Power? I think it was. He's gone wide on the exit of the corner. That's given Gomes the run. They're going to be side by side into the Schumacher S. Gomes tucks back into the slipstream. Climbing back up the hill. The momentum's super important. He'll have the inside line for the next left-hander. Side by side in this complex. Very, very close on the exit as well. Here comes Danny Henny as well. He's pouncing on Gomes already. And didn't quite manage to get through there. He shoved his nose in down at turn 12 though, but fights for another day, and he's now going to be having a run at Gomes down towards the chicane. But again, you can't really do anything unless you're already side by side there.
You can't, but hopefully he's set himself up for a nice run down into turn 1. Looking a little bit further back to give you an update, Spanner's made up a couple of places to P9, and he's got the recovering Alex Dobbitsberger breathing all down his neck. But back to the action at the front, Chris.
Yep. Harrison building up an advantage now. We got some back markers getting in the way here as they're coming out of the pits from damage on the opening lap. That includes David Hatton. They're safely navigating them just about, but certainly not something they wanted to think about in their intense battle up at the front of the field. So yes, Harrison 1.7 seconds clear now as these guys have been battling. Power was able to just eke out a little bit there. He's 8/10 ahead of Gomes and Henny now, and Tim Ellis not too far away as well, and Stephen Williams behind them. He has been making up progress. He's up into 6th place, and I dare say he'll be on the back of these guys pretty soon as well. Oh, Gomes, another little mistake there on the exit of turn 7, the Ford curve. Just dipped 2 wheels into the gravel there, and Henny is right underneath the rear wing of that pink and white number 18 car. Now he's gone wide again on the exit of the Dunlop hairpin. Is this what we're seeing because of the new tyre model? He's wrecked the tyres at this point, and now he's having to live through this and get them back under control. Here comes Henny towards the inside, thinks better of it, wants to get the run down the chicane. It's the safer option for him, looking to get himself up into third place. Started third on the grid, looked like he was going to mount a challenge for the lead down into turn one, but the contact with Alex Stromsberg put him back a little bit. He's been on the recovery since then, and I don't think there's going to be a lunge. He shows his nose, going to try and force an error out of the Frenchman in front of him, but to no avail. Well, we've certainly had an action-packed opening 3 laps of this race, Chris.
We have, and you didn't make the mistake there, but he did run wide at the final corner, so that has put Henny right up under his rear wing. He's going to make a move into the first corner, down the inside. Here he goes. Got to get the braking point right. He's managed to tuck it into the apex. That's job done.
Yeah, Gomes not going defensive, interestingly, and yields that third place spot, so Henny moves up a place back into the podium placings, and has now got his sights set on Kyle Power in second place, who's 1 second up the road. I dare say that Gomes is going to try and come back at Henny at some point, and Ellis less than a second behind these guys as well.
Taking another quick look back, so Spanners again has made up a couple of places, is now in P8. Dobbitsberger I did see just behind him a couple of laps ago, but he was trying to take one of those back markers, and unfortunately had to swerve to get out of the way as he was slowing down, so had to go off into the gravel at the Dunlop curve, so lost another 5 places out of that. And Alex Van Gien is also making good progress through the field. He is in P17, so he's up into the top 20. That'll make it a very, very good starting spot for the second race, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, I make it Dan Fisher who would be on pole position for the next race, but still another 2/3 of this race still to go. Running on lap 4 of 12, remember. And Harrison's advantage still around 1.8 seconds. The times between Harrison and Power at the moment, very even indeed. But Henny, this will be the first kind of clean lap we've seen from Henny, and he certainly has closed that gap to Power. We'll see what the lap time was when he comes over the line. It was a 47.3 for Power last time around, a 46.7 though by Henny. He is just 3/4 of a second behind Power now, and I tell you what, he's bringing Gomes with him.
He is. He's definitely not dropping him anywhere, is he? That's a very quick time from Gomes as well. So we're going to see a 3-way battle for the final 2 places on that podium developing. I think Harrison has got that 2-second buffer as they fight. I don't think they're going to have the chance to keep up with him, but it's going to be a very interesting little scrap for that last bit on the podium.
It could be another imperious victory, as it was at Interlagos in the 3rd race of the night. He's had 1 sprint race victory to his name. Henny has won both the feature races so far this season, so it would be another name on the list for that. Well, big lockup for Henny though in 3rd place. They went through the Dunlop hairpin there, and Gomes is right underneath the red number 93 car now, and that has given Power quite a bit of breathing room now actually, and Henny's having to go defensive on the way into turn 11, but Gomes not drawing alongside as they reach the crest of the hill there.
Yeah, that was a big mistake there from Danny. He lost a good half a second to 3/4 of a second there. That's given Carl Power, as you said, that amazing breathing space. Gomes didn't get the best of exits there, but the slipstream is very powerful in these cars.
Absolutely, and another impact of the tyre model change. A lot of the drivers saying it is a lot easier to lock the tyres now. Almost seems like they're very stiffly sprung now, a bit like the new ground effect Formula 1 cars. And he's regained his composure though, and set to work at closing down that gap. It's back under a second as they come across the line to start lap 6. Gomes still waiting in the wings, and another little lock up there from Henny as they went into turn 1. I think Gomes is just waiting for his moment to pounce and get himself back onto the podium. Maybe Power is a little bit out of reach. It certainly seems like both these guys have got the pace to go and chase Power, but if Gomes can't get past Henny in a hurry, then it might be to no avail. Another little mistake there from Gomes. We've seen these guys just eking out a little bit and then dropping back because of these small errors. Not sure how much they're being caused by the new tyre model or the setup, or if it's the track conditions that aren't working quite well for them, but certainly we're seeing quite a few little errors from drivers who normally seem so imperious in these races.
They do, and it just shows how hard these guys are pushing. So let's have a little bit look further back down the grid there, Chris. So the battle for those positions around the front of the next race. You've got, who have we got there at the moment? My timing screen is just gone. Sorry, Chris.
I believe Alex Van Gien is working his way through the pack there. I would give you the position, but the timing screen's not playing ball at the moment, I'm afraid. I do believe Spanners and Greenhow are very, very close in 8th place, though.
Yes, they've been having a good battle through this race. Greenhow was a little bit of a cork in the bottle for a while, but Spanners has managed to clear him, but he's not managed to drop him, Chris. Greenhow is definitely trying to size him back up again as Spanners misses the apex into that first turn. Might give Greenhow a little bit of the nudge that he needs, but Greenhow gets a little bit squirrely through the Mercedes arena.
Great to see Spanners involved in another great fight. He certainly did get his elbows out at Suzuka, and a new tactic for him this season, really. He often played it safe for the first few seasons in this championship, and now getting to a point of confidence where he can start to attack the other drivers. Now, that battle for second place, Henny has dropped Gomes now, who's fallen to a second behind. It must have been a mistake on this lap because they were closely matched last time around. But now we're going to see a battle between the two Venom Works boys, the lime green for Power and the bright red for Henny, as they head down the back straight on lap 7. And all this squabbling just cementing the lead now for Luca Harrison, who's now 2.8 seconds clear of these guys. Power a little wide there out of the final corner. Is that going to give Henny the run he needs down this front straight as they start lap 8? Down at turn 1, a big stop coming, and Power kind of puts it in the middle of the track, but it's not enough to stop Danny Henny. Down the inside he goes. He's gone wide though. He's spun! Danny Henny, the championship leader, facing the wrong way out at turn 1. Power goes safely back through, but any hopes of a podium now for Henny are gone.
That's
He's not going
disastrous
again.
for
He's
him.
in 7th place. Sorry, Chris.
I was going to say he's down to 7th place. He managed to somehow thread the needle cutting back through the pack, but yes, he's got a mountain to climb to get back up into any decent points paying positions.
You can't write this stuff, can you, Chris? I mean, what drama. And I think he's been threatening a mistake like that all night with the little lockups and the little twitches, and he just got into that corner way too hot and lost the rear as he was coming past Power. Not sure if he hit the bump in the braking zone at turn 1, but this is not the Danny Henny that we are used to.
No, he's under a lot more pressure this season because the quality of the field has just raised inexorably. And that's a mistake of somebody who's under pressure to keep their championship hopes alive.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming from
and
the championship leader, of course.
Yeah,
but
well,
it's, every point counts, Chris, and he could look back at this race with big regrets come the end of the season.
certainly could. Well, the man third in the championship, Stephen Williams, is 5th at the moment and has got Andy Flagg starting to bear down on him. Danny Henny not too far behind them as well now, actually. So currently Williams will be outscoring Henny in the championship, which he needs to do. And Tim Ellis not too far up the road as well, only 0.7 of a second, and that battle for the podium just in front of it as well, although starting to spread out a little bit with Henny's demise there. So this is the pack up at the front of the field, and Stephen Williams, you will have noticed, has updated his Aston Martin livery to match the colours of the 2022 car, and how resplendent it looks as well.
Very stark contrast to Flag's car behind with those wonderful kind of pink and luminous colours. It's great to see these two battling on track. Both fantastic races, and you can definitely trust them to provide some clean action, hopefully, as Flag gets into the slipstream. He's not going to be close enough to make it round this time around, but he's going to set himself up nicely for the start of the next lap. Monstering those curbs there, Chris. It's a phenomenal chicane to watch them flying through there, isn't it?
He's definitely trying to show his nose, his Flag, which you can't miss in the mirrors. Climbing back up the hill. We're on lap 9 of 12 in the feature race of round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup from the Nurburgring. Flag showing his nose again there in this battle for 5th place. Oh, Williams a bit wide there. Ellis in front. Oh, Ellis in front makes contact with the back marker. And has he got damage? He's certainly going to be slow down this front straight. And,
can't see any visible damage on the car, Chris. I think he's all right this time round.
So Ellis in 4th place there, and that's put Williams a lot closer to him as well. Flag coming with him as well, but that has just given Williams a bit of extra motivation in this battle now with 3 laps to go. So Ellis moving defensive down towards turn 1, and Williams big outbraking manoeuvre as he can't go around the outside of turn 1 though, but he's certainly letting Ellis know where he is. Not in a position to pounce at turn 3, but he'll be certainly lining him up throughout the rest of the lap, but got to be careful for Andy Flag behind him as well. They will have to watch out for Danny Henney at some point as well, because he's in relatively clear air, starting to close them down. So if they battle too hard, they could end up back behind Henney, although with 3 laps to go, the chances of him coming past all of them are getting a little bit narrower. Look at that formation through the Dunlop hairpin. They were just on rails compared to each other through there. Coming back up the hill towards the crest at turn 11, and this will be the slipstreaming opportunity for Williams and Flag in 5th and 6th there to see if they can get past Tim Ellis. Flag could be in the prime position here with the double slipstream down the straight, although you've got to be closer than that to make a move into the chicane at the end of it.
Ellis gave it absolutely everything through those last 2 corners there, just to see if he could just get that gap, and it did seem to work because he managed to just keep her out of that slipstream ever so slightly. Flag is all over the back of Williams now.
Yeah, it's getting closer and closer in this battle for 4th place. 2 laps to go. And Ellis not going defensive this time, but Williams still showing his nose. It's like Concertina up under braking for the hairpin at turn 1. Plummet down that hill, the big drop at the apex there, very easy to lock a front wheel through there. Great flying formation through this Mercedes-Benz arena. And,
Ellis is a seasoned campaigner. You're going to have to do better than that, Stephen, to scare him off the racing line. I think he's going to put up a very robust defence in these last couple of laps.
Well, Tim Ellis has been a championship contender in pretty much every season we've run, whether it's in the Formula Renaults or in the Formula 3 cars. And he certainly knows how to put on a brave move. We all remember the epic final lap move around the outside of 130R at Suzuka in the Formula Renaults to take the win on the last lap of race 3. Williams lost a bit of momentum to Ellis there coming up the hill, and Flag's looking towards the inside. It's side by side through 11. A bit of a twitch there from Flag, and Williams goes off the track in avoidance. They're both losing momentum now to Ellis, and Williams could be a bit defenceless down this straight now as Flag looks to make a move into 5th place here. He'll have the outside line for the chicane, Now, is one of them going to back off? One of them might have to. Flag round the outside. Oh, that is brilliant! What a move by Andy Flagg to get into 5th place there.
It takes real guts to go around the outside of there. He just had to hope that Williams gave him a bit of space because he had to throw it in at full speed. That is a fantastic move to move up to 5th.
Well, with the final lap now underway, I can't see a way for Williams to come back at Flagg unless he makes a mistake. That's got to be move of the season so far from Andy Flagg there. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Up at the front of the field, Luca Harrison absolutely imperious. 4.5 seconds clear of this chasing pack though. And Kyle Power not 100% safe in 2nd place there. Gomes less than a second behind, with Ellis and Flagg in close proximity as well. I'll tell you what, Williams is going to try and have a pop at Andy Flagg here. It'll have to be a late one because he's running out of opportunities on this final lap. Now it'll be towards the top of the hill at 11 or 12 or into the chicane. Oh, a lock up though into the Dunlop hairpin, and that's ended the battle right there. Stephen Williams is not going to improve on that position unless Flagg makes a mistake. Up at the front of the field, Luca Harrison came under pressure at turn 1, but when Henny and Dromsma came together, well, it was plain sailing from then on. Harrison, who has taken 3 wins so far in the 3 podium finishes so far this season. He's taken 2 wins and now he makes it a 3rd and he's 1st in the feature race at the Nurburgring. Luca Harrison wins, and that is just what the championship ordered. Kyle Power comes across the line in 2nd place, and Gregor Gomes on his debut in the championship, 3rd place. Well done, sir. Tim Ellis in 4th there. Managed to keep Andy Flagg at bay. Stephen Williams, maybe a bit of a dejected 6th place. Danny Henny, though, 7th place in the feature race. Not what we expected at all.
And hopefully we're joined by our race winner, Luca. That was an excellent drive to the win there. Absolutely imperious. How did it look from your seat?
Well, it was a bit of scare at the start. I was like, well, Danny and Jules got the inside of me into turn 1. That was pretty scary. Couldn't really see where they were going. Then I saw them crash into each other, and I was like, "Wah!" Anyway, after that, I was thinking Danny or Kyle won't be able to catch up to me at some point, but I don't know what happened to Danny. But after that, it was pretty relaxed.
Yeah, Danny had a very eventful race behind you. He ended up in P7, so that is going to definitely tighten things up at the top of the championship. Are you thinking about a title bid this season?
My goal is just to win as many races as I can. If that means I'm in it at the end, then I'm in it at the end. But we'll see where it ends up.
Fantastic, thank you, and congratulations on a fantastic feature race win.
Thank you, man.
Just update you on the rest of the top 10. So Richard Spanner's ready in 8th place. Was able to keep Mark Greenhow at bay there, and then Colin Ward that completed the top 10. And I can tell you it will be Matt Cook on reverse grid pole from 20th place in this race. Matt Trumpets will be on the front row of the grid as well. Alexander Dobertsberger will be in quite a good position as well, having been 14th in that race. So keep an eye out for him. But of course, Harrison, Power and Gomes, they've got to go and do it from the midfield now.
And we've seen how difficult it is to do that, particularly with all of the tight field, not just overtaking but also staying out of trouble into that in that first corner is going to be the trick to success here today.
Absolutely. We've seen the top guys come undone in the reverse grid races, and they are going to define this championship. As the top guys making their way back to the pits, we're going to go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with race 2. Welcome back to the Nurburgring, where in a few minutes' time we'll be underway with race 2, the first of the 2 reverse grid races for round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup. Chris, we had quite a bit of drama in that race. Danny Henney not quite getting the points we thought he would there, and what turns out to be Kyle Power getting a rather excellent second place when his VR headset kept failing on him.
We did, and I'm going to go and see if I can dive into the chat and see if I can drag them in to talk about it. So I should be back momentarily.
Okay, great. You go and do that. If this is your first time joining us, this is the warm-up session that we have while everyone gets loaded into the session, and then we'll be underway with the top 20 reverse grid race. I can give you some of the order, actually. It'll be Matt Cook on the reverse grid pole, ahead of Matt Trumpets. Andrew Sexton, Sam Swallow, new to the championship, and he will be starting 4th in his second race. Then James Caswell, we saw him fighting up the front in both of the first of the 2 reverse grid races so far this season. The reigning silver champion, Lucas Raskovitz, will be starting ahead behind him. And then Alexander Dobbetsberger, one to watch out for in this race, as he is a very rapid car, starting in a very good position for this one. And Chris Meelan, Richard Morden and Alex Stromsberg, that will be the top 10 for this one. And then, of course, Luca Harrison starting from 20th, Carl Power 19th, and Gregor Gomes ahead of them as well.
Speaking of Kyle Power, Chris, I believe we're joined by Kyle in the commentary box. And Kyle, I believe that race was a little bit eventful for you. Tell us a little bit about your tech issues.
Yeah, that was a bit spicy. Twice my headset failed. I just got a big error message on the screen, and the tracking failed, which meant my view basically went into the driver's crotch area. So all I was seeing was the footwell of the car and couldn't see where I was going. So it happened twice into turn 1. Luckily, I managed to quickly reset it, but I was looking at a 45-degree angle out the side of my car. So on 2 laps it happened, I had to do half a lap looking at a 45-degree angle out the side of the car before I could reset it again. So that made it very, very interesting trying to hang on to P2 there.
Yeah, that spicy is a great word for that. And so tell us, the guys up front, the pace was electrically quick. And Danny, I believe you're in the commentary booth as well to chat about your race too, because you had a bit of an eventful one too.
I wouldn't like to talk about it, Chris, if I'm honest. It was that bad. But yeah, just it all went wrong at the first corner, to be fair. Drillsma kind of collected me a bit, put us out of position. Not where I wanted to be. Obviously, I wanted to be straight on the back of Luca. And then it took a while for the car to come kind of in with some heat. And then it was kind of coming back to me with Kyle. And then kind of like what Kyle had, but I didn't have it so bad. Mine just stuttered on the apex to 1, and it just swapped ends, and that was it. Race over, pretty much.
Yeah, and obviously you guys are driving for the same Venom Works team, and you guys have got to try and push your way through the field. It's a bit tight round here, and there's the overtaking opportunities. There are some, but it's you've got to be a bit ballsy and get your elbows out. So tell us, where do you think you're going to end up?
It's going to be really, really tricky. I'm not going to fight Danny. I know he's got better pace than me, so we'll probably work together. I'm going to try and follow him through the pack. But the key thing is to try to get to the outside on turn 1, really. I think you can get caught up on the inside, so that's what I'm going to do if Danny does it.
Well, you're going to have to look behind you, because he is starting behind you.
You're, like Kyle says, it's pretty much the first couple of corners what will make or break your race. I mean, I went from 23rd to, I think, 3rd in 2 laps or something last night, just because the pack opened up, but it's really tricky to pick where you're going to go, really. But it's like ice on the first lap, so I'm expecting a few spinners. Just fingers crossed they avoid us.
Thank you very much for joining us, boys. Good luck in the second race.
Cheers.
Well, told it will be just a few seconds until we advance to the grid for the top 20 reverse grid race. And so we'll be seeing the top guys trying to come back through the pack, and those who were a little bit lower down will have a chance to fight up at the front of the field. These races absolutely crucial for the championship, as we were talking about earlier. 2/3 of the races that we run this season will be reverse grid races, so you've got to be able to get through the pack and navigate it safely. As there is the end of the warm-up session. Everyone set up and ready to go for the reverse grid race, round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup.
So, with Danny's slightly advantageous starting position because of his 7th place finish in race 1, he's going to be certainly one to watch as he comes through the pack. Could he make it to the podium?
It's not beyond the realms of possibility. We have seen people do it in the past. Before we get underway, let me just run you through the grid for race 2 and round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup from the Nurburgring. It is Matt Cook in the orange and black car on reverse grid pole. Alongside him in the gold car, that is Matt Trumpets. Then Andrew Sexton in the yellow and black car. Sam Swallow in 4th place there. Then it's James Caswell in the very luminous green car in 5th place. Lucas Raskowitz, Alexander Dobbelsberger, Chris Meelan, Richard Molden, Alex Joneswell. That's the top 10 as we're about to get underway for the first of the 2 reverse grid races at the Nurburgring. Away they go. And Matt Cook gets a rather good start there. A good one from Andrew Sexton as well as he draws alongside Matt Trumpets on the way into turn 1, but it'll be Trumpets with the line though. And Sam Swallow trying to get in the middle of the pack there, and they bump wheels into turns 2 there. Oh, and Swallow gets tagged there by Sexton. That is Swallow tumbling down the pack. I was going to say to watch out for him later in the race. He's been very, very quick, but he's not going to be scoring any decent points now as he's tumbling down the timing screen. So Matt Cook pulls safely away ahead of Matt Trumpets. Sexton in 3rd place. Caswell up into 4th. Then Chris Meelan, Dobbelsberger up a place as well. Danny Henney already up into 8th place. And Caswell's gone round down at turn 7. He's facing the wrong way on the exit of that corner. That's done him no favours at all. That promotes Henney up another spot as well into 7th place, right on the back of Dobbelsberger, pouncing on Dobbelsberger into the hairpin as well. He's made up so many places on this opening lap already. Remember, he started all the way down in 13th, 14th, and is now up into 6th place already. We're only halfway around lap 1. He's now looking at the back of Alex Jonesma as they climb up the hill as well.
He did, and Kyle Powell didn't manage to follow him through. He's still languishing down in 17th. So he's got a lot of work to do. There's a big gaggle of cars that have prevented his progress through the pack.
So we've got Chris Meelan there in the Mercedes Silver, kind of bulking up the pack there. Jonesma almost onto the grass there to get the inside line for the chicane, and it pays dividends for him as he goes through. Henney going to follow him through. Oh, he's been tagged! Henney, I think he's just gotten away with it though. It may have just been a bump there, as is that Dobbelsberger coming into the pits? It is indeed. So Dobbelsberger's got a problem, and he's coming into the pits at the end of lap 1. What a dramatic opening lap here at the Nurburgring. Matt Cook leads, only just though, as Trumpets is having a run into turn 1. Oh, Sexton from 3rd place right behind them's gone for a spin at turn 1, and there's more contact behind them as well. Don't know which way to look in this race so far. But it is Cook and Trumpets going absolutely hammer and tongs at the lead for the lead of the race. And Meelan and Henney have come together again by the looks of it down at turn 3. But so Henney into 4th place now and has finally been able to clear the number 23 silver car. And in a bit of clear air now, a bit of calm descends on the Nurburgring as Henney finds himself in some clear air. Quite a way down on Alex Jonesma now, though, who's in 3rd place and is looking at the back of Matt Trumpets, who's gone wide into the Dunlop hairpin there, and that is going to cost him momentum all the way up to the top of the hill. Could be a good opportunity for Jonesma to pounce and take 2nd place. Shows his nose towards the inside. He's going to get it done early. Trumpets leaves him all the room in the world, but Jonesma can't draw clear by the time they get into the right-hander. So we'll be at the slipstream down this back straight. All this music to the ears of Matt Cook, who's pulled out 1.8 seconds on these guys. In the meantime, Jonesma goes through into 2nd place before they even reach the chicane. So at the end of lap 2, it's Cook, Jonesma and Trumpets, the top 3. Henney now about to make a move on Trumpets as well. Chris Meelan still holding that 5th place there. Oh, we've got contact behind them. That is Gregor Gomes and Luca Harrison. Gregor Gomes and Luca Harrison at the final corner, all the way down in 15th, 16th place now. They've come together, and that is an awful moment for our race 1 winner there. Gomes has got big damage as well. He's going to have to come in and get that fixed, I believe. So Luca is still going there, it would seem. But yeah, drama there for the race 1 winner, unfortunately. And not what he needed. We said the championship needed him to win race 1. It did not need him making contact in this race 2, especially with Henny already up into 3rd place and with 7.5 laps still to run, in a prime position to potentially take the win here. And speaking of the win, Jones was going for it on Matt Cook out of the Dunlop hairpin. Had a great drive out to the corner, but has to tuck back in by the time they get into the Schumacher S. Jones were really trying to find a way past the reverse grid pole sitter here. Once again towards the inside of turn 11. This didn't quite work out for him last time around. It has worked for him this time though. Cleanly done. And it's going to try and put some distance between himself and Henny now.
Yep, critical move there. He had to get that done early. He couldn't wait till the chicane, because you can see Danny Henny now lining up for a move. That would have been him all over the back of Drillsmith. So he had to get it done. Crucial move there.
Henny can't do it into the chicane though. Draws alongside Cook as they head around the final corner, and this is really holding Henny up here. There was only half a second separating the top 3 before they went into that chicane. There's now 1.3 seconds as they start lap 4. Henny will get it done though into turn 1 this time, barring any errors in the braking zone. As there were in race 1, there's none this time. And so Henny successfully through into 2nd place. 1.2 seconds between him and Jonesma. It's on for the race win.
Their respective troubles in race 1 has meant that we've got a very juicy race 2 coming up now. So we've got Drillsma P1, Henny in P2. I wouldn't put my money on either of them, Chris. I think they're very closely matched. Henny might have the pace, but Drillsma is incredibly good at defending, so we'll see if he can keep him behind with 12 minutes still to run of this race.
He is indeed. Matt Trumpets, meanwhile, still holding strong in 4th place there. Got Stephen Williams all over the back of him. He's now got Williams alongside him. He's now got Williams ahead of him as he emerges out of the hairpin. A wide moment there could give Chris Meelan the run he needs to draw alongside towards the Schumacher S. Oh, Trumpets, a big chunk of curb there on the left-hand side. I thought that was going to overwhelm the car just a bit, but Meelan goes through there and into 5th place. I'm sure Trumpets will really be appreciating the coverage that he's getting on this one so far.
Yeah, you can't miss him in that beautiful gold-coloured car. Next up to try and take that position will be Colin Ward in the Rothmans Williams car.
Yep, Kyle Power and Tim Ellis not too far behind them as well.
Absolutely. So Kyle finally making some progress through the field in 8th place. He's less than a second behind Colin Ward.
So looks like Stephen Williams going to be having a crack at the podium sometime soon as well, in 4th place, and rapidly closing in on Matt Cook there at the front. Henny took about 3.5 tenths out of Drillsma on that last lap, gap down to about 9 tenths of a second now as we are on lap 5 of 10, coming up to the halfway mark. Both these drivers done a great job getting up at the front of the field already. And Henny trying to make up for a bit of a disaster race 1. It could well be redemption in race 2.
Speaking of a little bit of a disaster, we got Spanners down in 28th place. He's dropped back through now 27th as somebody went in the pits. He's under a lot of pressure behind from Gregor Gomez. They must have had some contact or been involved in incidents to be that far back, but they are having a great scrap through the Mercedes arena.
Kyle Power about to take 7th place away from Colin Ward on the, oh dear, banging wheels though into the Schumacher S. I was going to say it was a lovely run around the outside of the Dunlop curve, but as they went into the left-hander up the hill, they clattered wheels. think Power getting a little more understeer maybe than he expected, or maybe not the room he expected. Oh, what has happened to Alex Jonesma? Alex Jonesma from the lead of the race. He's fallen down to third place. What has happened to Alex Jonesma from the front of the field? He's been passed by Danny Henney and Stephen Williams. What a gift for Henney.
Oh, that is such a shame for him. I was looking for that battle to hot up. Unfortunately, my replay function is not working at the moment, Chris, so I can't go back and tell you what happened. That is such a shame for Drillsman.
Well, either way, the consequence of it is he's now in third place, not fighting Henney for the win. Henney now with 3 seconds over the chasing pack. Drillsman already trying to get back into second place ahead of Stephen Williams around the outside of turn 2. Go on! That is brilliant racing between these two. Williams with the line into turn 3. Drillsman will not take it lying down though, and with the line into turn 4, gives it Williams plenty of space on the exit, and Williams with that more open line is able to just draw clear. But that was a great couple of corners of those two battling over second place and allowing Chris Meelan to get on the back of these guys.
Meelan has just taken Cook, and Drillsman lining up again into the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. He's gone to the outside.
That is going to be one angry, feisty Alex Drillsman in that car at the minute, isn't it? Looking every which way for a way past Stephen Williams, the man who's third in the championship going into this one. Don't forget, Drillsman 5th in the championship as well. Both of these drivers have got plenty to play for in this championship, and Drillsman looking towards the inside, down towards turn 11. This has been his signature move so far this race, but Williams able to carry the speed round the outside. Drillsman, though, will have a more open line into the right-hander, and look how close he is down the straight. He'll have the outside line for the chicane. Who is going to back out of this one? Down towards the chicane again. Williams backs out of it quite sensibly. Drillsman back up into second place. Oh, Cook behind them, wide out of that chicane. That's an open door for Kyle Power to sneak through into 5th place there.
Yep, there he hit one of those treacherous curves and just wrong-footed himself and skirted off onto the grass. So yeah, that was a position lost there. He's going to try and get it back though, coming down the inside into the first corner. He's not going to outfox Kyle Power that way. Not this time.
No, we have to get up pretty early in the morning to do that on Kyle Power, man, with more racecraft than I think both of us combined. So a little recap then, as we're on lap 7 of 10 in the first of the 2 reverse grid races, round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup. Danny Henney has risen from the midfield to lead this race. Alex Joneswell was up at the front of the field, now in second place after an error a couple of laps ago, and is on the recovery. Stephen Williams getting himself up into third place as well. Chris Meelan, who started inside the top 10, it was 8th on the grid, has made great progress, 4th at the moment, ahead of Kyle Power, who has come up from 18th on the grid. Matt Cook started on pole for this one. He's in 6th. Got Tim Ellis for close company, as well as they head into the left-right before the back straight. Colin Ward up in 8th place now. Matt Trumpet started on the front row. He's now 9th. And Alex McBride, your top 10. Crucially, the race 1 winner, Luca Harrison, had contact with Gregor Gomes earlier on, as Ellis in 6th place now gets past Matt Cook into the chicane. Luca Harrison not scoring big in this one after contact in race a few laps ago, although, that being said, he is currently 19th, which will put him 2nd on the grid for the next race. Now, if you're Luca, you're probably going to want to stick with that, really, aren't you?
And as far as I can see, alongside him would be Alex Dobbitsberger, who's now in P20. So yeah, it's going to be a feisty race 3, so watch this space.
That's a good prospect. I quite like that for a way to end the proceedings here. Now, Chris Meelan, fair play to him, has been keeping Kyle Power at bay for quite a long time now, and Williams is not getting away from him either. This is a really good performance from Chris Meelan here.
Yeah, he's definitely managed to get the elbows out and keep Kyle Power behind him as he locks up into the hairpin, though, as we talk about it. That's going to give Kyle a run down the hill through the Schumacher's S. He's not going to stick his nose in there, but he might tuck under and give himself a run. He's gone to the outside now, Chris.
Yeah, he's got a great run though. Milan having to go defensive as they head towards turn 11 at the top of the hill. Power is not going to go all the way around the outside, and Milan wagging the tail of that Mercedes coloured car through the left-hander, and all of this giving Power the impetus he needs to get past him. Got a great slipstream. Milan covering the inside towards the chicane, and unless Power can draw fully alongside him, I don't think Power's going to get through on this occasion, and he does not. A great run through the chicane though, and probably lining him up there. You see the wider line he takes on the way into the final corner to get the run down this front straight as they start lap 9, the penultimate lap of this reverse grid race. And now Power having a run on Milan, who goes towards the inside. It'll be the left-hand side of the track though. Oh, Milan squeezing Power to the outside and locking up, forces him off the track. And there you could put a piece of paper between them. Very, very close racing, but Power gets it done.
That was so close and dramatic with the lock-up there. I thought he was going to skate straight into the side of Power, take them both out, but somehow he managed to get it stopped just in time.
Wow, that was precision driving there. Bravo to the pair of them. Great stuff. Milan down to 5th place now. Still not going to take anything away from it. It's been a fantastic drive. Just in front of them, drones were... No, go on, Chris.
I was going to say the next person to have a go at Chris Milan to provide us a bit more action will be Tim Ellis, who we saw a lot of in race 1. He's he's less than a second behind, so he's going to start being dragged along by the slipstream fairly shortly.
Yeah, got to get on with it though. Final lap coming up. It's been another dramatic one, hasn't it, Chris? With fortunes changing left, right, and centre. Just 15 minutes ago, Luca Harrison had taken a big charge back in the championship, and now Henny's striking straight back.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of points flinging here and there with these guys, and it's going to be an interesting one if this becomes a drop round at the end of the season, because none of them have a perfect weekend. Looking a little bit further back, Chris, we got Lucas Raskowitz having a great battle for 11th place, 10th and 11th with John Langen.
Yeah, Raskowitz, the reigning silver champion, promoted to gold this year, and certainly proving he deserved that promotion. I'd say won the silver title. He dominated it, didn't he?
He did. He was giving a lot of the gold drivers a run for their money, to be honest with you, Chris. He's been a consistent contender.
Absolutely. We're on the final lap of the race now, and Ellis in 6th place there, all over the back of Chris Milan. Thought he was going to have a run through the Mercedes arena, but wasn't able to find a way through. Not for lack of trying, though, it must be said. And, well, Ellis running out of opportunities now in this race to secure a top 5 finish. It'll be all about the run up the hill here through the Schumacher S. It looked like a good one from Ellis, it must be said. And could be some side-by-side as they head to the top of the hill. I think he might be. Here he comes. Here he comes. Milan once again squeezing towards the outside. He does love to squeeze his rivals there, doesn't he? And Ellis will have the momentum, I think, down the back straight here. It's going to be a close one indeed as Ellis draws alongside and has found the inside line for the chicane. And Milan doing everything he could to try and repel him, but Ellis goes through. Meanwhile, here comes Danny Henny to take the victory. It was a disaster in race 1, but he strikes straight back in race 2. Victory for Henny. Alex Jonesma, what could have been 2nd place there. I think he'll be a little upset with himself about that mistake that cost him the lead. Stephen Williams back on the podium for the 2nd time this season. Kyle Power up in 4th place, another strong result for him today. Tim Ellis in 5th there. Final lap move paid dividends there. Chris Milan, I'd still say a good job to you, sir, in 6th place there. Colin Ward, 7th place. Matt Cook, started on pole, finishes 8th. Matt Trumpets started alongside him on the front row. He finishes 9th. And John Langen completes the top 10. And I think it's going to be all eyes on Luca Harrison to see where he ends up. He will start second on the grid for race 3.
We are hopefully joined by Matt Trumpets, who did start on the front row, and it was a fantastic last drag to the line there. Trumpets, how was that race for you?
It was actually remarkably free of disaster, catastrophe, and general chaos, which I guess is a nice thing about starting up near the front.
Absolutely, you're not in the carbon fibre zone. It was there were some good defensive moves there, but you finished in the top 10. That is a great result.
Yeah, no, I think it's my best result ever for some time at the least. And yeah, I just drove within myself and basically didn't do anything stupid, which is definitely a rarity for me.
Well, it's fantastic to see you up the front. Thanks for joining us in the booth.
Thanks.
Just taking down the grid for race 3, it will be Matthew Brittle, who starts on reverse grid pole alongside Luca Harrison. And that is, well, great news for Harrison after what was a bit of a disaster race 2, it must be said. And we will have quite a few guys in the top 10, actually. We'll go through the rest of the grid for race 3 shortly. Just to remind you of the procedure, it will be 20th place that secures pole position for the next race. Quick shout out to Richard Molden there in 12th place. That is a great result for him, and in fact now starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th on the grid for the next one. So well done to him. We are going to take one more quick break, but don't go anywhere. The final race of the night coming your way shortly. Welcome back to the Nurburgring, where in a few minutes' time we'll be underway with the final race of the night. The final reverse grid race for round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup. Thank you very much for joining us on the Missed Apex Motorsport YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you haven't subscribed to the Missed Apex main channel, then go ahead and do that, because we've got loads of really great content on there with the F1 season right around the corner and testing happening this week. Some of you in the chat room asking how you can get involved with that. You can just drop an email to spannersready@gmail.com to register interest in the championship. As I said earlier, we'll be halfway through the season after this next race, so you can get involved with the rest of the season, and I'm sure we'll be doing another one after that in a few months' time. Chris, we're joined by Brad Philpott in the commentary box.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing great. I mean, we've been having a lot of fun up here. It's been a very dramatic night. What have you made of it so far?
Well, I have no idea who's won the races or who's finished where, because I don't really have a chance to look at the front of the pack, because generally they're quite tidy. I'm just trying to zoom in on anywhere where there's crashes or action, or where the drivers are complaining about other drivers. So it's generally been pretty clean, and it's the kind of usual nothing malicious, people making a mistake and then maybe exacerbating that when they rejoin after their mistake.
So what are the potential crunch zones we need to look out for in this race 3?
So standard one is turn 1, obviously. Real pinch point on this track, very steeply downhill, and obviously it's very, very tight, and that's basically what we saw in the last race. People spinning, having tried to be careful and then ending up backwards with 40 cars heading towards them. So I'm going to say probably the same thing. First few corners will be the most action-packed, and then hopefully the drivers will settle down and not unintentionally take each other out afterwards, but we'll see.
Well, we can only hope. Of course, we've got the championship battle to keep an eye out on for. It was Advantage Harrison in race 1, then Advantage Henny in race 2, and judging by the grid, it could be Advantage Harrison once again, but we'll see how things pan out and whether Henny can make his way back through the pack as he did in race 2. Brad, you race here a lot in the past. What do you love about the Nurburgring?
So I don't so often race on this version. So in fact, I've never done a race on the Grand Prix track. I've done a couple of test sessions where you've only been allowed on the Grand Prix track. But yeah, this version where you have the full bottom section with the hairpin, and I don't even know the corner names. That's how little I've actually raced on this particular version. But I love the whole place. I love, rather than the track necessarily, I mean, I do love the track, but I just love the area, the venue, the mountains and the smells and the sights and the sounds.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. You've brought me to the Nurburgring twice, and they're two unforgettable experiences that I yearn to have repeats of. So I can tell you some of the names if you want, Brad. You've got the Dunlop curve, which is the hairpin at turn 8, and the Michael Schumacher S, which follows it.
Yeah. Okay, so I probably would have guessed those two. But it's funny because I just refer to all the corners on the Grand Prix track as the GP track, or the bottom bit of the GP track. Whereas I could tell you every corner name on the Nordschleife. It's funny, the GP track is just the area around the pit lane.
Yeah. Just that bit of track that isn't like the rest of the circuit, really.
When you're doing your endurance races at the Nurburgring on the Nordschleife, do you actually include the Grand Prix circuit, or do they tend to cut it off just at the base?
So yeah, we do tend to include the Grand Prix circuit, but you tend to miss half of it. So it's only the 24 hours that you use the full Grand Prix circuit. And when you do that, you actually don't do the normal turn 1, 2, and 3. So you never, in an endurance race, really get the opportunity to do this full version of the track. You either do the first few corners of the Grand Prix track, or you do the bottom corners, the Dunlop curve, and then into the Schumacher S. But you don't do them both together, because the paddock is so big and so overflowing with all the support races and all the Nürburgring 24-hour cars, that they actually use the first couple of Grand Prix corners as part of the paddock. when you're doing the 24 hours. So we end up actually cutting through and kind of doing the type of turn 1 that you would have had in Formula 1 in the 90s. So that kind of right-left chicane rather than a hairpin and another couple of hairpins.
That's a great corner, is it? The Castrol S, as it's known as.
So I'm just in my race control capacity trying to keep an eye on these drivers during the practice, even though this doesn't matter. And there is some leery driving going on at the moment through the final chicane.
Well, what have you made of the switch to the chicane? We think it's added some jeopardy.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you've got a much faster corner than you'd have on the normal Grand Prix circuit, but it's also much more flowing. So there's less chance of someone crashing into the back of the car in front, I guess, or going for a kind of failed out-braking manoeuvre into a very slow, tight corner. But also it's easy to get it wrong just driving it, because you've got to commit to it so fast, this particular version, the Enduro version. In a single-seater like this, in a Formula 3 car, it's such a quick corner, that final chicane, that if something does go wrong, it's going to be a big one.
Well, hopefully we'll check in with you if there are any incidents. But thanks for joining us in this warm-up session. We'll let you on with your race director duties.
Thanks, guys.
Great to hear from Bradley Philpott there. So, the final race of the night about to get underway. And we'll run you through the grid shortly, as soon as my timing screen comes back to me. So, the grid's looking a little different to what we thought it would, actually. It's Alex Van Gien on pole position then. Nicholas Carladal alongside him, then Matthew Brittle. EJ Anderson, Alexander Dobbelsberger in 5th place. Stefan Froelich in 6th, Jose O'Donnell, Peter Shilcock, Richard Molden, Sam Swallow. That's the top 10. Looking to see what's happened to Luca Harrison, because we thought he was going to be starting on the front row of the grid. He's actually down in 27th place. So, the red lights are on and we're about to get underway for the final race of the night. Alex Van Gien on pole position alongside Nicholas Carladal. Away they go, puff of smoke from the rear tyres of Van Gien's car, but he is drawing clear. Carladal moves over to the left-hand side, trying to challenge Van Gien on the way into turn 1, but actually finds himself under pressure from EJ Anderson instead. A big smash, though, into turn 1. Got to be one of the messiest starts we've seen for a long, long time, but the front runners, they've made it safely through. So Van Gien leads clear ahead of EJ Anderson. Chris, I believe Henny made it through the pack.
He did indeed. He's up to P20. He is weaving his way through. He's trying to go around the outside of Colin Ward into the left-right there of the RTL and Ford curve. But he did manage to keep his nose clean, as did Carl Power as well. Both of them managed to make it through safely.
Yeah, so up in 7th place now as Henny's moving past Ward around the outside of the Dunlop curve. Oh, EJ Anderson, though, from 2nd place. Big mistake into the Dunlop hairpin as we see him recovering in the gravel trap and tumbling down the order. That promotes Alexander Dobbelsberger to 2nd place, just 0.8 of a second behind Alex Van Gien now, and side by side behind them, Sam Swallow. Oh, Sam Swallow has once again been caught up in an incident. I was about to say he was about to get himself into 3rd place and has spun round and been caught up in yet another incident, unfortunately.
It's going to be fascinating to watch how Alex Van Gien manages to defend this lead that he's got. As you said, he's got less than a second over Dobbelsberger, so that's going to be a very tricky one to keep behind, as Dobbelsberger nearly drops it out of the final corner sideways. That's given Van Gien a bit of breathing space, which is exactly what he needs. But this was the site of one of Van Gien's best driving experiences last year, where he managed to hold off most of the field to create a fantastic podium, I think it was. So we'll see if he can repeat the feat this year.
And of course won the reverse grid race 1 at Suzuka last time out as well. So Van Gien leads by just a second to Alexander Dobbelsberger, Matthew Brittle and Nicholas Carladal as Denny Henny comes through into 4th place there. So Brittle's been able to draw clear a little bit as these guys are squabbling. It's Carladal just holding off Henny for now, then Stephen Williams, but Henny going round the outside of turn 6 Fantastic stuff, and Williams trying to get his nose in there as well. Williams has been right where he needs to be, really, around where Danny Henney is, which has been great to see. Colin Ward and John Langan going side by side into the Dunlop hairpin just behind them as well. And Langan there in 7th place draws clear of Ward. And ahead of them, it's Henney into 4th place after just a lap and a half of racing, having started 20th on the grid. And he is storming through now, 3.6 seconds behind the race leader, Alex Van Gien. Now, what could be interesting here is how much Van Gien and Dobbelsberger fight for the win could allow Henney to come through and steal it from underneath their noses. It's going to be fascinating to see how this play out, but Henney, first of all, has got to get himself into 3rd place ahead of Matthew Brittle. Plenty of cars are kicking up the dust on the outside of the final corner on the exit there. And now we've got a couple of lap cars coming out of the pits and just about getting out of the way of the leaders. Some tense moments, though, as they navigated the first corner, but the key contenders safely through. Just half a second, by the way, separates the top two now, and this is what I was talking about. We think Dobbelsberger is going to make a pass here on Van Gien. He's got to do it quick, and he's got to do it cleanly, though, as Henney gets through into 3rd place, but a little controversially there.
Yeah, it was Brittle who just dropped it on the exit of the corner and just spun a 360 on the power, so it's unfortunate. A bit of mistake under pressure there.
Well, that cleans Danny's hands of it, and he's got clear air now. 3.3 seconds to Alex Van Gien at the front of the field. But Dobbelsberger right with Van Gien as they head to the top of the hill. The battle for the lead is very much on, and Dobbelsberger needs to make this move quickly and decisively if he wants a chance of winning this race, because we know Henney is going to do everything he can to close that gap. Climbing back up the hill at the end of the straight, no way through the chicane for Dobbelsberger. I bet Van Gien's glad that he signed on last minute for this one. He wasn't going to race tonight.
Yeah, he's certainly provided some entertainment down the start-finish straight here. Dobbelsberger has got a great run on him. Let's see if Van Gien goes defensive.
Oh, he will. Van Gien is one of the most robust defenders, but watch out for the back marker, though. That's like Schumacher, Hakkinen and Zonta at Spa all those years ago as Dobbelsberger gets through on the inside. He's still having to go the long way around on Van Gien, though. This is what we were talking about. This is what Van Gien does best. Defending his position. Still Dobbelsberger is trying to make his way past the number 4 car side by side at turn 4. Dobbelsberger eventually with the line, but Van Gien's the one with the run out the corner. They have still not broken formation, and finally Van Gien cuts across the nose, and this is what we were talking about. Henney has halved the gap to these two already, and still Dobbelsberger is not through.
Stunning defence there from Van Gien. This is exactly what we wanted to see from him. I'm so glad he's back in the race. Dobbelsberger, let's hope he doesn't get frustrated, because he's got to get past it so quickly or Henney will be right on top of them. You can see he's breathing down their neck already. Coming up the hill through the Schumacher-esque. He's got a good run. He's got the slipstream, but I think he's going to be brave if he sticks it down the inside, which he does, Chris.
Well, he's showing his nose. He got a nice bright yellow nose tip for this race with the Peace logo on the end of it, so you can't miss it in the mirrors now. He's not as close as he was down the back straight though compared to last time around, so he's not going to be having a run into the chicane. Meanwhile, Henney is now just as a second behind Dobbelsberger, who needs to get this move done, but we know Van Gien is going to defend tooth and nail for it. Look at the run he got through the chicane. He pounces down the inside of the final corner. Van Gien has to give him some space, and we have now got a three-way battle for the lead of this race as Henney arrives on the scene. Van Gien to the inside, defending away. Dobbelsberger has got to go the long way round once again. Henney making it 3 wide as they go towards turn 1. It's Henney on the outside. Van Gien breaks firm and fair. Henney locks up, and amazingly, they're in the same order as when they went into it.
Henny was cutting it very fine there. He was hanging himself out to dry on the outside. Very lucky Dobbitsberger didn't wash out and take him out. He took to the slip road to avoid contact. So here they go again.
Yeah, short bit of straight here. Henny this time is the one showing his nose on the inside. Dobbitsberger is in just such a compromised position here as he's trying to attack Van Gien, defend from Henny. Stephen Williams will be on the scene in 4th place, not before long. Henny just nibbling away at the rear wing of Dobbitsberger's car as they braked for the Dunlop hairpin. Back up the hill we go. This is where it's so important, having the momentum, having the slipstream, and Henny's much closer to Dobbitsberger than Dobbitsberger is to Van Gien. It's side by side for 2nd place as they reach the top of the hill. Dobbitsberger defending as they go through turn 11, and that is going to compromise his run surely down this straight now as he's losing time to Van Gien. Henny could well find himself in 2nd place, and I think at that point it's going to be game over for Dobbitsberger in terms of the win. Towards the chicane they go. Henny does not make the move this time. Had thought about it, then thought better of it.
And that little fake move lost him a bit of time, so Dobbitsberger does have a little tiniest breathing space there. He's got to get himself sucked up under the rear wing of Van Gien to be able to defend into turn 1.
Well, it's going to be close once again, as we know. Dobbitsberger not as close to Van Gien. Henny, has he found himself the inside line this time? Dobbitsberger's still going for it. Henny's tagged. Henny's tagged. Van Gien, they bang wheels. Williams going to go through the lead. He's pushed onto the grass. That was a very bizarre couple of corners there.
Absolutely speechless. He has, and I think Henny has got some damage on that front left corner.
Williams goes through into the lead. Dobbitsberger goes through as well.
Yeah, we can see the tyre smoke pouring off the front left of Henny. We'll have to see what Brad Philpott in the stewards room makes of that move and whether Henny will get a further penalty. But yeah, we've got Williams now in the lead with Dobbitsberger breathing down his neck. What a dramatic conclusion to that battle, Chris.
I think Henny may well have let those two go.
No, he's off again, Chris, at the Dunlop. He's got severe damage to that left front. I think his suspension's going.
Oh, he's let power through as well now, so this is not what Danny Henny needed at all. A bizarre moment down at turn 1 has just rewritten this race, and Dobbitsberger, having been severely under pressure from Henny, has been given a second chance at the victory. This time, though, I think he's got a much tougher opponent in Stephen Williams to have to try and get past. Oh, Henny's dropping big time.
Yeah, he's going to lose all 4 of those places there. In fact, he checked them all up, so they're all going to be tripping over each other to get past him. He's going to have to crawl his way back to the pits.
Oh, well, if he comes back into the pit, then that's game. Neither of our top 2 championship contenders, really, from today will be scoring points. Meanwhile, for the lead of the race, Dobbitsberger edging over Williams, trying to cover him as much as possible. Williams defensive to the inside at turn 1. Dobbitsberger has to go the long way round, and we've seen him do this once before already with Alex Van Gien. Towards the inside he goes at turn 2. Williams has to go the long way round and give him some space, but still Williams in the Aston Martin colour car is able to repel Dobbitsberger. Down towards turn 6, lap 7 of 10, the final championship race of the night, round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup. We have seen it all tonight. The championship has swung one way, the other. It's swung in loads of different directions in this race. It has been very hit and miss for our championship leader, Danny Henny, and all that has left Stephen Williams and Alexander Dobbitsberger to fight it out at the front of the field. Just a couple of tenths of a second separate them at the head of the field. Kyle Power in 3rd place, 2.5 seconds back from this battle, and could well be closing them down if these two keep squabbling.
Further action for Van Gien. He just went side by side through the Schumacher S with David Hatton. There's now 3 wide going into the following corner. Hatton round the outside. Van Gien is absolutely monstrous in defence, but these had to let Hatton through this time. See if he can make a run back on him coming down the back straight into the Vidal chicane. He's got a good run to the outside now. Although, who is that creeping up on the inside? That is Drillsma coming up on the inside. I think he thinks better of that. And Van Gien and Hatton both skate across the corner. Hatton goes flying off into the boonies out there. Collects a few cones on the way back in. Somehow manages to keep it pointed in the right direction, Chris.
Oh, fantastic stuff once again. Dobbelsberger going for the lead into turn 1. Had a big dive up the inside. Williams once again able to go the long way round. This time it's role reversal compared to a couple of laps ago as Dobbelsberger trying to get around the outside of turn 2. But once again, Williams able to just hold him off. Dobbelsberger with a big lunge down the inside of turn 4 though. This is a super intense battle. And don't forget, Williams came into this race 3rd in the championship, just 22 points back. And he stands to make massive ground in the championship with Henny well down the order, as does Luca Harrison. He's in 10th place at the moment. It's not the biggest point scoring that he could be doing today, but with Henny well down the order, this is crucial. These are crucial moments in this championship, Chris.
They are, and we've still got a ways to go. Just over 4 minutes to go in this race, and Stephen Williams is being absolutely hounded by Dobbelsberger. It's by no means over yet. There's still plenty of drama to come. Will we see more incidents? Kyle Power is absolutely bearing down on them as well. He's only 1.5 seconds behind.
He was
Williams
8
makes a
tenths
slight
of a
mistake
second
there
quicker
as well, Chris.
Yeah, and that could compromise him down the straight. Dobbelsberger not as close this time around. I think he'll be safe into the Vidal chicane, Will Williams, but Power closing them down as well. Gap down to 1.7 seconds. He was 8 tenths of a second quicker than these two last time around as they have been squabbling. And through the Vidal chicane they go once again. Still nothing separates these two. They have been on rails with each other so far in this battle, and we have been absolutely loving every second of it. They start lap 9, the penultimate lap of the race. And Dobbelsberger is going to start to feel a little bit of desperation now. Once again to the outside of turn 1, and he doesn't leave Williams much space at the apex, but just enough. And this time Williams doesn't have to defend into turn 2 as Dobbelsberger went out wide. A big slide there for Dobbelsberger as well as he came out of the left-hander.
He hasn't. Kyle Power has just taken another half a second out of them, so it's not over yet. There could be a three-way battle for the race win right at the end.
Stephen Williams yet to take a victory this season. He has one victory in the F3 Cup to his name. Dobbelsberger yet to take a victory this season as well. Oh, a little lock up there as they came through turn 7. Is this just starting to slip away from Dobbelsberger with only a lap and a half to go?
That frustration, that sniff of a victory. The cup he can see right in front of him. He just needs to keep it together. He's got one more lap to make a lunge. He's 3/4 of a second behind though, Chris, so it's going to have to be right at the end, I think.
Stephen Williams is not one to make a mistake as well. Not in iRacing, not in karting either, where he has been a big figure in the Missed Apex karting events. I forget the big battles he's had with some of the biggest names in our little group.
Yep, I took him on very briefly, I think, at one of our very first inaugural Missed Apex events, and he was swiftly done with me. So he's a feisty racer. So we shall see if he can hold on to it as he comes into the final lap.
Williams around the final corner, starts the final lap. 1.7 seconds covers the top 3 as we're on the final lap of the night. Round 3 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup. It's Williams with a few tenths of a second. Might be all he needs over Alexander Dobbelsberger. Kyle Power waiting in the wings in 3rd place there to pounce if either of these two make a mistake. But it could well be that this is the order they're going to finish in, because Dobbelsberger has thrown everything at Williams, and Williams hasn't buckled. And Dobbelsberger's been given the chance. He was trying to pass Alex Van Gien, couldn't quite make it work without contact. Big melee down at turn 1 with Danny Henny as well. Williams may well have, I don't want to say been gifted the lead, but he has thoroughly earned to have kept it.
He has. You've got to be in the right place at the right time. It's exactly what we were saying at the beginning of the night, and we're saying it at the end as well. Stephen Williams does seem to have that edge. He's got 0.6 of a second. I don't think that's going to be enough for Dobbelsberger to be able to slip through at the end.
Just a few corners to go then for Stephen Williams. Only a few corners separate him and his first victory of the season. Only his second in the F3 Cup, and what would be his third podium finish of the season as well. Surely taking a big march in the championship now. Brian Boomsma, second in the championship, not racing here today. Danny Henney was the championship leader. He has been all over the shop in comparison to this man who's been Mr. Consistent all season, and now that consistency is rewarded with victory in race 3 at the Nurburgring. Alexander Dobertsberger threw everything he had at Alex Van Gien and at Williams, but he finishes in second place, and Kyle Power takes another podium finish for the night. And Van Gien, having started on pole and fought like a lion, finishes fourth, and Harrison in fifth place there. The man who was fourth in the championship going into tonight. That is another solid result that he really needed.
Absolutely, and we are joined in the commentary box by our race winner, Stephen Williams. How did that feel?
Oh, that was awesome, Chris. It was a really tough race. I think I started 18th in that race, but avoiding all the carnage, avoiding the incident with Danny and Alex at the start. But yeah, I've been fighting off a cold this week, so having Dobertsberger at the end fighting me as well was tough. But held on.
That must be the tonic that you need to feel better. And that was spectacular action. As you said, fighting off Dobertsberger, that was a lot of pressure you were under towards the end.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get me. He was close a few times into turn 1. Just held off though.
Absolutely. Well, what a deserved first victory this season. Thank you for joining us in the booth, and go celebrate your victory.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, I'll be really fascinated to see the championship standings after tonight. Another shout out to Chris Meelan, if I may, 6th place in that race. He has done a fantastic job in the 2 reverse grid races tonight. Tim Ellis in 7th there. Richard Spanner's ready. Another great finish there in 8th place. Lucas Raskowitz, 9th place for him. Nicholas Carladal got P10. Matt Trumpets was in 11th in the end. That's a great job for him. Peter Shilcock, John Langan, Sam Swallow and Colton Myers up to the top 15. Chris, I'm just about out of breath for the action tonight.
It's been absolutely phenomenal as always. You try and pick a highlight, and I think there are too many to choose from, but that controversial incident, I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about that. But it's been a wonderful evening's action.
It has indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on the Mr. Apex Motorsport YouTube channel. We will be back in a few weeks' time with round 4 as we get the second half of this dramatic season underway.